It's November 1st, 2014. Another new month, another new video presentation. I'm standing at the headwaters of the Lac-Saw River. To the west and below Lolo Pass as Highway 12 crosses through the state of Idaho over the Continental Divide into the state of Montana. It was here, right here, 210 years ago, that the Corps of Discovery, led by Meriwether Lewis and William Clark, Lewis and Clark came right through this ground on which we're standing. As they continued their westward trek to the Pacific Ocean. Crooked Fork Creek is the northern tributary. The southern is Colt Killed Creek, where those two streams meet about 200 yards straight to my right, downstream to the west, is where the Lac-Saw River began. And it was this particular area where they ate their last meal before they ascended to the top of the what's called North Nez Perce Indian Trail, now known as the Lolo Trail, and crossed through the state of Idaho to be saved and kept alive by the Nez Perce Indians. We're going to talk about a journey today. I just want to show you where it all began, because every success story I know has a beginning. I want to bring you a short story today that talks about the beginning. The beginning of Lewis and Clark and how they came through the state of Idaho en route to the Pacific Ocean. But I just want you to know that every true success story in life, regardless of the time frame or the period in which it occurred, has a beginning, and therefore has an end. And the goal, of course, is to become successful. And just like Lewis and Clark did so many years ago, your story just may well be beginning today. If you look up over my shoulder, you'll see all the way up what's known as Crooked Fork Creek. It's the northern branch of this tributary that meanders through some extremely brushy, hard to traverse territory. And therefore Lewis and Clark went on to what's known as Colt Killed Creek, where they came down and met where these two creeks run together. If we turn around now, and you will see the confluence of Crooked Fork Creek and Colt Killed Creek, where they meet and form the Lac-Saw River. You're looking at the very base of Lolo Pass between Idaho and Montana. And it's this area in which these two tributaries head and begin to flow westward towards the Columbia River. This is the very creek you read about in the recorded annals of Lewis and Clark. It was right down this creek these men came in their journey to the Pacific. Although these two creeks look the same, this is Colt Killed Creek. This one is much broader and wider, shallower, and not near as steep and brushy and hard to traverse as was Crooked Fork Creek. And that's why Lewis and Clark, in their downstream migration to the west, chose this creek to follow. Colt Killed Creek. Looking downstream to the confluence with Crooked Fork Creek and on to the Lac-Saw River, which then flows down and meets the Selway River and forms the Clearwater River. That flows into the Snake River, that flows into the Columbia River, that flows into the Pacific Ocean. The Corps of Discovery marched this very path that you're looking at. The year was 1805. It was in mid-September. We're very high in the mountains of Idaho right here at this point. Snow could come at any time. The weather can change. Already it's starting to rain. It was at almost this very same time of year that these men came through here. Each day they kept journals and recorded what it was like. They had come many miles from the top of Lolo Pass. They were starving, they were hungry, they could not find game. These are the words of William Clark on the very day that they were right here on the edge of this creek. Clark's words were, "We crossed a high mountain on the right of the creek for 6 miles to the forks of the Glade Creek. The right-hand fork which falls in is about the size of the other. We crossed to the left side of the forks and cross a very high mountain for 9 miles to a large fork from the left which appears to head in the snow-topped mountains to the south. We crossed Glade Creek above its mouth to at a place where the Flathead Indians have made their fish weirs to catch salmon and have lately left the place. I could see no fish and the grass entirely eaten out by the horses. We proceed on 2 miles and encamped opposite a small island at the mouth of a small branch on the right side of the river, which is at this place 80 yards wide, swift and stony." Those words were written right on that point, right where these two creeks run together. Clark went on to say, "We are here compelled to kill a colt for our men and selves to eat for want of meat. And we name the South Fork Colt-Killed Creek. And this we call Kooskooskee. Turned our horses onto the island to spend the night. Rained, snowed, and hailed the greater part of the day. Everyone is wet and cold." Well, let's talk about this for just a minute. Well, isn't it amazing? History comes alive when you know it. I've come to this very area for almost 50 years. I grew up hunting and fishing through all these creeks and these mountains. I've had wonderful times and memories. All good things get better with time, but all good things have to first begin. And just like Lewis and Clark and the Corps of Discovery, you now are standing at a point where you must begin your journey to success. Oh, there's lots of unknowns. We're almost 1,000 miles from the Pacific Ocean, right here from where I'm standing. Now, Lewis and Clark had no maps. They didn't have Google GPS. They just had a mission that had been given to them by the President of the United States, and they were not about to leave it uncompleted. So they took off on a great trek. Without having all the answers, without knowing what the final result was, having never seen a photograph of the Pacific Ocean, they were obedient to follow the commands of their superior authority. You see, all power in life is through the power of submission, not rebellion. And obedience to that authority greater than yourself is what will always get you through the tough spots in life. Lewis and Clark had a long way to go. They didn't know it, so they did what all successful people do. They got up and did their best possible effort every day. And one day after another day after another day after another day got them through these magnificent mountains and into a lower elevation where they could find food and eat. Survive, recoup, and proceed on. They got knocked down, but they got back up. Are you able to do that? You see, when you are committed to a cause greater than yourself, when you are willing to get up time after time of being knocked down, when you refuse to lose, that's when you'll win. It's not going to be easy. You've seen the terrain. How would you like to be walking through here with nothing but leather moccasins? How would you like to be freezing without polar fleece or Patagonia jackets or down-filled insulated underwear? These were hardy souls. But they did the best they could with what they had at the time they were doing it. And therein lies the secret of success. Nobody's prepared for success. You develop your preparation in the process of achieving your success. You have modern life today. You don't have to walk, you can fly. You can stay in hotels instead of on a wet riverbank. And you can eat a nice steak at a nice restaurant instead of horse flesh on the bank of a creek in snow-filled mountains. Come on. Rise up. Use what God gave you and complete your mission. Peace and love to all of you. Papa Bear.